What's the most effed up thing someone has told you about themselves after barely getting to know them? This was a patient, middle-aged guy, in short-term nursing home for a hip replacement, or something. I'm trying to get to know him, to figure out what kind of skills he may need to work on, in order to return home safely. I ask him, "Do you cook?" He responds, "I used to, but then the cops found out." That guy is a legend. Years ago, I went on a date with a guy I met via AOL Personals. Within 5 minutes of the date, he told me he was working on a book about speed seduction, and he was so confident he could speed seduce me. He already had a condom on, ready for me. I hightailed out of there, full speed. I googled him a while back and turns out, he ended up self-publishing the book. Who says stuff like that? Guy sounds like a punchline to a bad joke. I honestly sat there for about a minute, staring at him in shock. It was so freaking weird and scared the shit out of me at the time. Other than the fact that he actually went and published that speed seduction book. Do you know any more on how he turned out, or what he's doing now? He's still wearing the condom. He decided to switch from speed seduction to the really long waiting game. She said that if I wanted, she would kill her parents so we can live at her house. I never went on a second date with her. Well, at least you know there's a crazy woman out there that's willing to kill her own family for you. That's something. Bro, you let a good one get away. Have you seen the housing market lately? When your date takes you saying, "I'd kill for a place to stay," too literally. This happened to my wife. We had just moved into a new house, and the lady next door came over to introduce herself to my wife. As she was talking, she informed my wife that her husband was mad at her because she had farted when he was going down on her. I think I would have a difficult time not busting out laughing if someone told me this, and remembering it every time I saw her. I was doing a service call at a house, and just making small talk, when the owner mentioned out of the blue that she's married to her uncle. I've been there twice, and both times they felt the need to tell me. It's kinda weird. Was it an official announcement? Like, "I am required by the state of Alabama to inform you." Doesn't that make her dad's sister-in-law, and her own aunt? That also makes her kids her cousins, and I can only assume it makes her father furious. At work, me. "Hey new guy, nice to meet you." New guy, "Yeah, you too. Check out this picture of a dude in a coffin. That's my nephew. He was killed in a drive-by last month." Me. "Let me show you where the coffee maker is." Who the frick starts a conversation like that? You just sat down. Went to pick up food for my hop one time, and the hostess tells me how her son was killed in a gang shooting, and starts crying. I felt bad for her, but it was super awkward. Like, I just want my pancakes. Lady at work started telling me about land she owned in another state that is not part of America. She then started talking about how every American is a bond to the government, and your social security number is just your bond number. Wealthy people own those bonds, and own you. She started naming off prices of bonds based off people's races and genders. This was all said after I simply asked her what she was doing with her long weekend coming up. Weirdly enough, I had a dude tell me all this, unprompted, during my first night shift at Dollar General. All I asked was if he wanted his change. Do I want change? The only change I want is for the government to abolish the bond system. New roommate told me her current boyfriend got kicked out of college for sexual assault and was under investigation for another case of sexual assault. Wanted my opinion about it. Within like 2 hours of meeting, completely disregarded that my opinion was, run. Everyone keeps saying that, but I don't think any of you understand how complicated this is. Hitchhiking through New Zealand. I got picked up by a semi-driver. Awesome guy, but an hour into the drive, started unloading every bit of personal information he could. How he's cheated on his wife, screwed the company out of money, stolen items. It was like I was a priest in a confession booth. When I asked him why he told me all of that, he said it's been eating him up inside for years, and telling me helped get it off of his chest. He said I had no idea who he, or anyone he knew, was, so it felt like I was the perfect person to unload on. I mean, you can't argue with his logic. Y'all will probably never see each other again, so he's safe from repercussions. On the next episode of Undercover Boss. Well, after 2 15-minute conversations with my neighbor, he wants to get a surrogate from a developing country, so that his child will never be able to find their biological mother. Women in these countries are not listed on birth certificates, either surrogate or egg donor. He asked me if I'd be willing to consider surrogacy. I am currently pregnant. I am somewhat nervous about this neighbor now, because he has asked a lot of questions about our house, and our baby's due date, info on the pregnancy, the plan for the birth, etc. Suffice to say, I won't be hanging out in the front garden with the kiddo when they're born. Girl at the gym told me she was in an unhappy marriage and never loved her husband, and as soon as the kids finished school, she was leaving him. Pretty sure I didn't even know her name. We were 17, first year of uni, and I had known the guy for a week or 2, tops. Out of freaking nowhere, he tells me he had a kink for getting farted in the face by girls. I pissed myself laughing, and we became good friends for a while. Was he into piss too? Didn't mention it, but I wouldn't be surprised. At a work Christmas party, it was mentioned we were going to Vancouver for a meeting next month. New guy is so excited he's losing his mind. He proceeded to tell us about how they have the best massage, happy ending kind, parlors. He went on and on about how great they were last time he went. He also told us about etiquette and what to expect. He was married with 3 kids, and all I could think of is what kinda shit is he not telling me, if he is this open about this. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I sat down in a waiting room for an appointment, and the guy next to me started talking about how he got 2 potatoes stuck inside him. I don't know what's more perplexing, how he got 2 potatoes stuck inside his ass, or why he got them there in the first place. Coming from a hospital worker, you learn to stop asking why, because you usually don't want to know the answers. Visited a coffee shop for the first time on holiday. Barista commented on my tattoos. I said thank you. She told me she's not allowed to get tattoos, but she cuts herself to enjoy the pain, and that's nearly the same thing. I found a different coffee shop for the rest of the holiday. When I was around 10, I lived beside this weird family. The little girl was probably 4 or 5, always clinging to me anytime we were outside. She talked incessantly and always wanted to hang out with me, asking to come into my house. She annoyed me so badly, but she was really sweet and excited about everything. One day she tells me, "Do you ever naked wrestle with your dad?" I told her that's really weird, and no, I don't even know what that means. She then tells me, she and her dad and brother naked wrestle a lot. Forgive me, but I was 10, I had no idea what the frick I was being told. I still think about that to this day. The guilt eats at me. I wish I had understood more and told someone. When someone says these things happen, more often than we realize, they are not wrong. I have had years and years of training on signs of this type of abuse, and it will forever break my heart and make me so angry. It's unfathomable.